Hello ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers of Burundi National Television. Welcome to the English News Edition headlines. This Saturday, the CNDD party celebrated its 20 years in power. The ceremony held at Ingoma Stadium in the political capital Gitega and were graced by the presence of the President of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, and other high-ranking officials. In this edition, we are also going to focus more on some achievements of the CNDD party in some different sectors of economy and security. Welcome, dear viewers, to details. I'm Jackson Lakoze. This Saturday, the CNDD party celebrated its 20 years in power. The ceremony held at Ingoma Stadium in the political capital Gitega, and were graced by the presence of the President of the Republic of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, and other high-ranking officials. These ceremonies were marked by a long parade of the youth in Imbonerakure affiliated to the CNDD party. And on that same major day dedicated to the Imbonerakure League, which also marked the 20 years of CNDD leadership, many important messages were delivered. Révérien Ndikuriyo, the Secretary General of the party, stated that peace and security are precious treasures that well fought for and must be preserved. Meanwhile, the head of state, Evariste Ndayishimiye, urged all Burundians to behave like eagles in order to have a clear vision for the future without being misled. As I told you in headlines, today the scientific conference organized by the CNDD party officially closed this Friday as part of the celebration of the party's 20th anniversary in power, combined with 9th edition of the Imbonerakure Day dedicated to the youth league affiliated with the ruling party. The young participants testified that peace is the foundation of the development and that working in cooperatives is the only way to achieve sustainable development rather than engaging in conflict due to differences in opinion or political affiliation. And today also, as I told you in headline, also as the CNDD party has now been in power for 20 years, we look back at the achievements made in various sectors under its leadership. In this report, we are more going to focus on peace and security, where even those who attempted to disrupt national stability were neutralized, while the country defense force stood up out for their bravery on the ground. It's a story of our colleague Marius Muhigwe.
Since coming to power in 2005, the CNDD party has injected new momentum into the country's economic development with a strong focus on agriculture and livestock. Leaders encourage the population to embrace modern farming, leading by example through model fields and abundant harvests. The state launched an extensive program of cooperatives across the country, each agricultural cooperative receiving financial support of 10 million Burundian francs to boost production and ensure surpluses. The strategy of pooling land, selected seeds, and agricultural calendars has significantly increased productivity. The guiding principle was clear: every mouth must have food, every pocket must have money. To support this momentum, the government facilitated access to fertilizers, notably to the Fomi factory, inaugurated in September 2019 by the late President Pierre Nkurunziza. These fertilizers not only improved yields, but also contributed to soil protection. New practices such as greenhouse farming, dry season irrigation, and rice cultivation gradually took hold. Export crops like coffee and tea were consolidated, while avocado has recently emerged as a strategic product for generating foreign currency. The state also established a structure for purchasing agricultural produce to prevent farmers from limiting themselves and to enable them to market their surpluses. In livestock, the policy of distributing modern dairy cows in several regions increased soil fertility through manure. Local breeds, once strengthened with extension, were also preserved. Small-scale farming of rabbits, pigs and poultry was promoted, particularly through distribution campaigns targeting vulnerable households. Fish farming and the creation of modern animal breeding centers also experienced a remarkable growth. Regarded as a pillar of economic development, the mining sector underwent major reforms under the ruling party's leadership. The legal framework was revised to facilitate investment while ensuring transparency and safeguarding national interests. The goal to attract foreign capital, stimulate production, and secure sustainable economic benefits for the country. With the predominantly young population, the government invested in empowering the new generation. The establishment of the Youth Investment Bank and the PAYEJ program provided concrete support for projects initiated by young entrepreneurs. These initiatives promoted self-employment, reduced unemployment, and improved living standards for many families. President Evariste Ndayishimiye praised the impact of PAYEJ and encouraged young people to engage in productive activities rather than waiting for administrative jobs. The infrastructure sector also recorded notable progress. Weekly community works carried out in synergy with authorities enabled the construction of schools, health centers, and paved roads throughout the country. Among the flagship achievements were the Nhare House Presidential Palace, inaugurated in September 2019 under the late President Nkurunziza, an especially notable milestone given that the presidency previously had no dedicated offices. Hydroelectric dams such as Gigi Murembwe, as well as the renovation of Bujumbura Port and the Intwari Stadium, now meeting international standards. The expansion of Mekia Ndadaye International Airport and the launch of the Uvinza Musongati Railway also marked key steps in facilitating trade and strengthening regional integration. Over the past 20 years of governance, a major reform reshaped the public finance sector with the establishment of the Burundi Revenue Authority. This reform significantly improved tax and customs collection, thereby strengthening state revenues. Unlike the old customs system, the Burundian Revenue Authority operates under modern standards, providing better monitoring of trade flows, both imports and exports, while simplifying procedures for taxpayers. Burundian Revenue Authority was also designed to support Burundi's regional economic integration, particularly within the East African community, by easing cross-border trade and enhancing the country's competitiveness in the region. In terms of good governance and combating economic malpractice, the 20 years of the ruling party's administration have been marked by several initiatives. Authorities were encouraged to serve citizens with proximity and accountability. For instance, the phone numbers of officials, including the head of state, were made available to the public to facilitate reporting of abuses and concerns. Under this leadership, efforts to combat illicit trade and fraud were intensified. Officials who failed to meet these standards were dismissed, with appointments increasingly based on competence rather than favoritism. Furthermore, platforms for dialogue and consultation were organized to allow citizens to express themselves and contribute to public management. These initiatives are part of President Evariste Ndayishimiye's vision, as he constantly urges Burundians to fight corruption and safeguard national resources. Overall, 2 decades of governance under the ruling party have been characterized by reforms and action geared toward the country's development. Every Burundian is thus called upon to continue their commitment and contribute to ensure that Burundi achieves the progress it aspires to.
We are very sorry for the technical inconvenience. This was not Marius Muhigwe, but Emma Gloria Ishimwe for his economic report. So now let's come back to the security and the difference among the organization of CNDD-FDD, where it has realized many things in peace and security, and some who attempted to disrupt national stability when it arose, where the country's defense force stood out for their bravery on the ground. Marius Muhigwe.
There is 20 years that the ruling party CNDD-FDD has power in Burundi. In a chapter of peace and security, the National Council for Defense of Democracy, the Force of Defense, has moved from a label to a party created back 2005. In fact, 2005 became the year dedicated to peace. A comprehensive peace agreement was achieved in September 2006. With a ceasefire agreement in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, September 7, 2006, between the government of Burundi formed by the ruling party CNDD-FDD and the armed group Paripehutu FNL. It was a breath of fresh air for all, including women. While the disarmament program was established during the 20 years which left, Defense and the Security Corps was restored, and the members of its corps represent all layers of the population in all ethnicities combined, including continuous training organized with a view to professionalization to ensure the security of the population and the state institutions of units, and the spirit of the dialogue characterized by Security Corps of National Defense were noted during the great difficult times that Burundi has experienced. Here there is illustration of the fighting spirit of the bravery which characterized the defense and the security corps, notably against enemies coming from outside close the borders in Chibitoke provinces, while the criminals were captured by the country's defense forces. Here we also tell you about the 2015 coup attempts. Over the 20 years that have gone back, CNDD-FDD has been able to maintain security as defense forces have participated in the missions of the professionals of peace, notably in Somalia, the Central African Republic, in South Sudan, in Haiti, and in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The spirit of unity and patriotism is gilded by the CNDD-FDD party and has also won over the entire population. It is notably through the joint security committees of the achievements of the ruling party over the 20 years to be able to solidity not only to ensure security and to observe it, but also through the awareness of the population so that it consolidates peace. The Peace Torch Caravan since 2006 is a sign of the awareness of the population with regard to the consolidation of peace during a Peace Torch Caravan journey across other provinces. It is also an opportunity to call on the population in favor of peace, the basis of sustainable development. With the 20 years in power, the ruling party CNDD-FDD dedicated to organizing every last Thursday of each month a day to thank God for the peace found in Burundi. This kind of prayer is also organized each year at the national level on the high excellency of the President of the Republic.
Thank you very much, Marius Muhigwe, for your story. Let's end this news on this. The residents of the communes of Matongo, Kayanza, and Ngozi in the province of Butanyerera affirm that since the CNDD-FDD came to power in 2005, they have been living in peace. Some of them, interviewed by our reporters, say that the peace and the security prevailing in Burundi allow them to engage in development activities. Elisi Kamkama.
Once in Matongo, Kayanza, and Ngozi localities of Butanyerera province, one can see easily that there is a big movement of the inhabitants of those localities. The inhabitants of those localities with whom we talked claimed that before 2005 they weren't free enough because of insecurity. They said that from 5 p.m. they had to flee in forests or hide in valleys, but from the Sunday day after the party's access to power, they have been freed from that fear. Those people salute the fact that today security and the defense corps represent all Burundians, men and the women, whereas they used to come from just one region. From the access to power of the CNDD-FDD party, those people say that they now live peacefully and they can eat and sleep at ease, and moreover, they feel protected. According to them, peace and security allow them to work on development. To safeguard peace and security, those inhabitants say that they work closely with local authorities. Note that those testimonies were gathered just few days before the CNDD-FDD party's 20th anniversary in office celebrations.
Thank you, dear followers, for keen attention. This is the end of our English news program. Keep watching this program on National TV. I'm Jackson Lakoze. Bye-bye.